Good morning, everyone. We are afternoon, actually, depending on where you are. We are here with Michael Easley from Greater Texas Credit Union. Michael, thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to feature another financial institution and talk about all the great things that you're doing with your marketing strategy. Before we get into our questions, our burning questions for the day, we wanted just to hear from you. If you could just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do at the credit union, and then we'll jump right into it.
Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you for having me, Nicole. So like you said, my name is Michael Easley, and I'm currently communications coordinator for Greater Texas Credit Union. So I really am just working alongside the marketing department, doing all sorts of different things from social media to event planning and kind of just spreading the name to as many members as we can.
Excellent. So that's a pretty big role there. I mean, you just kind of glazed over it. Like you do social media and you do event planning. So there's that's a lot of pressure because you're essentially the face of the credit union and coordinating to make sure that everyone is getting the right message and the message that you want about any products or services or things happening. So let's just start with social media first. Why don't you tell us what platforms you're on?
Yes, so we're on several different platforms, mostly I would say Facebook, Instagram, and then we are active on Twitter or X, I mean YouTube as well.
Whatever they're going
really,
by these days, they like become like the prince of social media. You know, like what do you call yourself? Yep, I get it.
Yeah, so really right now, we're on all of them. We haven't really dug too far into TikTok yet, just kind of based on our member kind of feedback that we've gotten. It's not a huge market for us right now, but it is definitely something that we're interested in exploring more kind of in the future.
Gotcha. And it's so funny because, you know, we've done a few of these already, and sometimes it's the case that TikTok is the first thing we talk about and we hear about, you know, how great it's been and how they're really reaching a new audience. And there's others who are like, you know what, I'm going to wait. I'm going to let everyone else do this. And I'm going to stay where we feel the most comfortable, where we feel like our members and customers are seeing us, which is primarily on Instagram and Facebook, right? So I totally agree. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what inspires the post on your Facebook and Instagram page? Because obviously we came upon your Instagram and it looks great. We do encourage everyone to go check out Greater Texas Credit Union's Instagram page. Very well done. So why don't you talk to us about the inspiration behind those posts?
For sure. Definitely a big part of the inspiration is kind of just spreading awareness of credit unions and how much they do for local communities. So we tend to kind of try to focus a lot of our content around our community involvement, whether that's events we're a part of or things that we're sponsoring through different schools or companies or organizations. So we tend to focus a lot on that just because we kind of have gotten a lot of feedback from our members that they enjoy seeing that and they kind of enjoy seeing that they're investing in a company that cares about the community and the surrounding areas. We also kind of want to try to spread some education, financial education, especially kind of nowadays, so many the younger generations are really primarily getting their financial education from online resources. So kind of trying to chime in and be a part of that conversation has been something that we've strived to do as well.
Excellent. So really putting yourself as the forefront of, you know, number one, being in the community, number two, being the real go-to for financial education so that your members can see you in that spotlight of a trusted advisor. So really, you know, giving yourselves that credibility and building that up. I recently posted a video on our CUcontent Instagram about the importance of building credibility on your social media. And that's really what it's there for. You know, a lot of times we talk about likes and shares and comments, but you know, there's a whole other component of posting, and you really touched on that with building that credibility and that audience and really being the go-to for all things financial institution related. So that's great. So you touched on the second part of your job as well, which is the event planning. So that's kind of going to segue into my second question. You know, what else is a part of your marketing strategy? So why don't you talk to us a little bit about event planning? You know, how do you find those events? How do you prepare for them? What happens during the events? And then just kind of, you know, is there any follow-up that's done afterwards?
For sure. So thankfully, I do have a lot of help when it comes to event planning and our partnerships. A lot of it is kind of throughout the history of our credit union. We've just kind of developed relationships with certain organizations and charities. And so we really strive every year to what can we do for them or what can we do new for the community. We do things, a lot of things with schools. Our company specifically kind of targets Texas State University and A&M University. So we kind of throughout the year we look for sporting events or just, student community events that we could kind of be a part of or somehow sponsor something that's needed for this. And then there we kind of can build a relationship with those students or the public that's there and kind of put a face in person to our name that we have.
Gotcha. So while you're at those events, is it like you have a table, you have a tent, you have a booth set up, are you giving away any sort of promotional items, swag?
For
Talk to
sure.
us, how are you getting those students' attention? Because those are some pretty big schools and that's a fun
Yeah.
crowd over there. So talk to us about how you even pull them in. And also that's a great audience for you guys to bring into the credit union because they're that age group that you want to start really speaking to.
Absolutely. And something that's so neat kind of dealing with students that we found is they are very conscious of the companies that they're supporting. So they like seeing that credit unions are kind of more community focused and focused on nonprofits and charity work. So kind of talking to the students about the work we do in the community is always something that we do. With your previous questions, it kind of depends on the events. Most of the times we will have a table there. And then we have a great employee that his main position is focusing on the college population. And so he has done a great job of supplying like games and he does we have a duck hunt that he could do or like a prize wheel. So we always try to have something fun that can kind of entice students to come to our table and meet us and speak to us and hear what we're about.
That is so cool. Very, very fun. I like that. I like that idea of getting the attention, pulling them in with something fun like a game. They're not expecting to see that from a financial institution. So it's like that
Right.
element of surprise for them. So very, very well done. Great idea. Have you had like one event in particular that has been a really big success for you? Or have you had, I'll ask the other hard question, you might not like it, but and you could answer either one of these. Have you had an event that totally flopped and you're like, we're never doing that again? So you can pick which one you want to answer, a super successful one or one that flopped.
Yes, I mean, honestly, we've had our share of both of those. So it's just kind of always important to just keep it in perspective. But we definitely have, working with college students, it's a learning process. So we've definitely had several events where it's like, no one is interested in talking to us or coming up to us. So it's sort of evolving into, okay, well, how can we be more approachable or how can we kind of change, what people might think of like banking institutions? It's interesting because we actually heard some feedback with a lot of people thinking that financial institutions are just trying to push credit cards onto college students. And so we want to stray away from an image of just like, open an account, join a credit union, and more kind of starting a conversation of this is what we offer as a credit union, and this is what we can offer you as a member, and then kind of going from there.
Excellent. I love it. And I love that you use the word approachable because, who wants to go at a tailgate, go hang out at the tent for you guys? So, I love the idea that you said earlier about the games and just that's the way of being more approachable. So very well said. So final question for you.
Yes.
What piece of advice would you give to a financial institution marketing, if any at all? What would be the one tip, one closing statement, like if you were giving a TED Talk to all financial institutions in America, no pressure, what would you say to them?
So kind of just from my perspective, I would say don't focus as much on engagement and numbers as much as focusing on making quality content that has a purpose. Definitely hearing your members' feedback of what maybe they like or what they want to see more of and kind of adjusting on that. With credit unions, they come in all different sizes. So, some credit unions are going to have an extremely higher amount of engagement on their posts. That doesn't necessarily mean they're making better content. That's just kind of their audience that they're reaching. So I would say don't get hung up on trying to get just as many likes and shares and really just focus on creating content that applies to your members and the people that you're wanting to attract to your page.
That's excellent. That's so well said. I actually wrote down something that you said, quality content that has a purpose. You're actually either you're entertaining or you're informing them, right? So
For
that's
sure.
those are the two main things that you want to focus on. I'm going to
And
ask a follow-up question to that.
yeah.
Is there a particular type of content that you have posted that has gotten more engagement for others, such as a video, an infographic, memes, cartoons? Is there any one piece of content that you say you tend to gravitate more to?
Yes, I mean, definitely kind of to summarize it, from my experience, kind of avoiding like busy just flyers and pictures and kind of focusing on adding, people and adding faces to the credit union. That's what we have found has boosted our page and created more interactions with people on there, is really focusing on putting a face to the company, and people and members seem to like that. I mean, I think you mentioned something similar to this earlier, but focusing on just corporate responsibility and just showing we're here. If members need a way to reach out to someone in the company if they have an issue or anything, making them aware that like, oh, they're on social media and we're accessible to them if they have any issues or questions.
Now, do you take messages through DMs on your Instagram page from your members? Like, do
Yes.
they DM you? That's so interesting because that's like
Yes, we get DMs across really Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll get members DMing us either with questions about their account or just about our company in general. So it's really a good way to, follow up with them and make sure members that maybe don't know the proper channels are pushed there so they can get the help that they need.
That's so interesting. So we're not just calling a bank or credit union anymore. We're not just showing up there anymore. Now we've had this other way of communicating with them through direct messages about specific products or services, or like you said, their account even. We don't want to ask anyone to put their account information out there, though.
No, yeah, we've had to tell that to members.
If I have a question about my savings account rather, I have a specific question about it, whatever it might be, I can ask that question as it relates to like an operational piece of my savings account. So I think that's a really interesting new approach to communicating with your members and customers, and also for them to communicate with you. Like, don't wait on hold anymore. Just DM us and there's someone there to answer a question. Now, are you the one who takes those messages, and then how do you, if you can't answer the question, how do you get it to the right person?
For sure. Yes. Typically, I am the one getting those questions. My manager does help as well in case I'm not in the office, but it's really just kind of utilizing interpersonal contacts with the company. And so if I'm not necessarily aware of where this company should go, I just have resources with our company that I can reach out to say, like, where should I direct this company or this customer, this member? Where's the best place for them to go? Or who do they need to contact to kind of get this issue resolved?
Excellent. I love it. I love it. Michael, it was so great speaking with you today. I think we got a lot of great information here. I'm going to quote you, quality content that has a purpose. I love it. That was so well said, and it really sums up everything that we're all trying to talk about in terms of social media and financial literacy. I love that you guys are in the community and really getting out there and reaching that college age demographic. And I love even more that you're using your DMs as a way to communicate with your members. I think that's new, and I think that's important, and it's refreshing that they have another way to reach you. So whoever else is still listening on this, or if you tuned in, I think that this is probably one of the biggest points that we could take from this particular interview with Greater Texas Credit Union is, they're using their DMs as a way to communicate with their members, and they're encouraging them to drop the messages on that channel. Again, Michael, thank you so much. It was great having you today. And
thank you, Nicole.
Like I said, everyone check out Greater Texas Credit Union.